Good evening. Hope everybody's having a lovely Sunday evening. So, the last thing I remember from my days of drinking was pulling out of the bank parking lot. I took a right-hand turn onto Main Street and something felt wrong. And I guess out of instinct, I got off the road. The next thing I know that I remember after that was waking up in the hospital 3 days later. What was recounted to me that I still to this day do not recall was I had had a seizure while I was driving, is what had happened. And I got off the road, and the police and paramedics and 911 was called. And apparently I was hiding in the bushes. I don't remember any of this. This is all recounted to me. Hiding in the bushes and strapped to a gurney while I yelled obscenities at police officers and recounted the racist history and creation of the police force in America. But I don't remember any of that because I had had an alcohol withdrawal-induced seizure, and I woke up in the hospital 3 days later. And I remember them letting me out, and my girlfriend found me wandering around the outside of the hospital. I wasn't really sure what was going on, I don't think. And we came home to my mother's house, and I remember sitting outside with her under like this gazebo thing that we have, and just looking up and feeling something happening again, and I had another seizure. And the 24 hours that followed was apparently very insane. Again, 24 to 36, maybe 48 hours that transpired after that second seizure, I don't recall. And everything that I'm about to share with you in the story was recounted to me, with the exception of very few moments that I actually remember. And so I had the second seizure, and I can remember a moment of when I was like, I want to say I woke up on my mother's couch, and I was like fighting a blanket or something, like I was fighting for my life. And then when the events were recounted to me, it turns out that was my girlfriend that I was fighting. I thought it was a blanket, I was so out of my mind. And stories were recounted to me of just hours spent just staring at my hands, like I was trying to figure out what they were. Like I had no idea who I was. I didn't know what was going on. My brain was just like in shutdown mode. I didn't know what was going on. But the other moment I remember was a day that my girlfriend came walking through the front door, and I didn't know who she was. Like I couldn't have told you what her name was, but I know that I knew her, and I knew that she was safe. And I remember going and giving her just the biggest hug, like I'd been so scared prior to that moment, just confused. But I knew when she came through that door, it was like, oh my gosh, safe, you know? And then I don't remember anything else until the 2 days later, and I woke up in bed with a massive headache and like knowing that something had happened. And I spent the next month, probably, it seems like, just staring out the window, trying to remember what had happened, because I only remembered the first seizure coming on. I remember fighting a blanket that was my girlfriend. And I remember my girlfriend coming through the door and not knowing what was happening, who I was, what my hands were, who she was, but knowing that she was safe. And I don't know if you have ever experienced like seeing somebody at like a soul level, to where like you're not really seeing them with your eyes, like you're seeing them with your eyes, but you're not, there's no comprehension of who this person is. You're just looking at this person, but you know, like when you don't know anything else is going on, you know that this person is safe. And I remember waking up in bed, and I haven't had a drop of alcohol since. I have told myself I'm allergic to it now because honestly I'm scared after that. And life has been hard since then. And there are moments that I've found myself sitting at work at the restaurant, a bottle of really good bourbon sitting on the table across from me, and me just like metaphorically just beating myself over the head with that bottle of bourbon, because I like bourbon. It's one of my favorites. And I remember one day sitting there and just, it was a really hard day. I was all up in my feels. I wanted to escape them, and this bottle of bourbon is sitting there in front of me. And I'm just torturing myself with it. And at that moment, I decided, I was like, okay, Casey, like either you're going to open that bottle and pop that cork and drink it, or you're not. It's one of the fucking two. Like, why are you beating yourself over the head with this? Like, make a choice. And I didn't open that bottle. And from that day forward, I haven't had a problem with the alcohol. And I remember those moments that I still, to this day, do not remember anything that happened in that week span of time, other than those moments I just recounted, the stories that were recounted to me in the one video that she showed me. And I didn't watch anymore, and I didn't watch much of it. It was very disturbing. And it was this Casey that you see in front of you, but vacant here. Just, and it was scary, and it was creepy. And it was hard to see myself like that. You know, and I opened this show about the power of storytelling with that particular story because in 2 days, on August 8th, I'm coming up on 2 years sober from that experience that I just recounted. It was two years ago. And so 2 days from now marks 2 years of total sobriety for Casey. You know, like I have, you know, almost 8 years off of dope, you know, and opiates. And so I'm proud of myself for that. And I tell the story, and I want to talk about the power of storytelling in this first part of the show, because everything we know is built on stories. Our history is built on stories. Our lives are built on stories. Religion is built on stories. Government is built on stories. Everything is built on stories. It's how it goes back as far as human beings, at least. It could be argued before that, I guess, depending on your beliefs. That could be a whole nother show as far as, but we know that cavemen and everything were etching those stories on walls with hieroglyphics. Storytelling is as old as our species. And it's how we've just evolved, and the evolution of our stories. And so when I told that story, and I wanted to open the show with it, because when we share our stories, it's about vulnerability. But even more than that, it allows for a connection. And if you've watched any of the other episodes, I've kind of been threading my way to this particular episode, and then some others that follow kind of build off of this. But I talk a lot about authenticity, and I encourage people to share their stories. And it's all about rewiring the mind and changing that subconscious programming that we're operating from, that we don't even realize, or we don't really know how to change it. And so when we share stories, we connect. In the last episode, I was talking about the future of health and the power of the mind and thoughts and brain chemicals. And storytelling, it itself elicits the release of brain chemicals. When you tell a story and you're being emotional, whatever the story is, it releases, and your audience, the listener, is feeling that with you. Those brain chemicals are being released, and you literally, through storytelling, we influence each other, and we influence literally the release of brain chemicals. Movies know this, movie writers, and, authors. Like, it's obvious, like, storytelling, it's thread completely through our history as a species. And so when we know that, it's two things. We know it's being used, storytelling, to manipulate us by a system, because they are very aware that it manipulates, along with everything else, the release of brain chemicals that flow through our body via our bloodstream. Well, the way we counteract that, in my opinion, this is above the noise. Welcome to Above the Noise. We counteract it with our own stories. That's how we counteract that noise and that narrative. See, I got so into the story, I forgot to welcome you to the show. This is Above the Noise, where we seek to elevate the conversation above the sound bites, the fear tactics, the division, things to keep us from having the conversations about things that matter, to keep control of us, keep us in a lower vibration, to keep us in that subconscious programming that has been generationally just layered up via past traumas, via programming on television, radio, social media, politics, everything that they have us just arguing about down here. So here we seek to bring it up here to level, elevate the mind. Let's talk about the subconscious programming via the stories that we tell ourselves. And I referenced my relationship, the one that, if you've been paying any attention, is what it is at the moment, but and that this is not about that. But it's the stories we tell ourselves. It's very much a part of storytelling too, and probably the most influential story that impacts our life. It's not what's on the television. It's not what's on social media. It's not what the pundits are telling you. It's not what the politicians are telling you. It's not what the corporations via their advertising are telling you. It's not what your parents are telling you, your children, your coworkers, your brothers, your sisters, anybody other than what you are telling yourself in your own head, because that affects your life more than any of that other noise. The rest of it is noise, and part of the subconscious programming that we have is part of the story that we as a society. And let me just preface this before I say all this. I'm in the United States, so a lot of the things that I talk about are prefaced or within those parameters of the society of the United States. So if you're outside of the United States, put it in context of your own society, I suppose. But I feel like most of my viewers are probably in the United States. But part of our societal programming is this idea of blaming or thanking or giving attribution to something outside of ourself for where our lives are at and the things that have happened, and be it, blame's an easy one. We can blame the government for how our lives are. Sure, we can blame corporations, we can blame God, we can blame religion, we can blame our parents, we can blame our shitty childhoods, we can blame our sexual abuser, we can blame our parent that abandoned us, we can blame our girlfriend that whatever, we can blame our drug addict, like whatever. There's a million things to blame because that's what we've been told. That's what the story has told us. And so that's bullshit. I mean, and as hard as that is to hear, it's the story in our minds that really matters. And it's the things that we are insecure about. It's the things that we fear. It's the things that hold us back. It's the lies that we tell ourselves. Those stories matter. You know, and I talk about relationships a lot. And I put a lot of things in the context of relationships because it's super easy for people to relate to. So here is a possible relationship story that could play out based on some subconscious programming. So it's arguable to say that the majority of people, I feel like, in our society here in the United States are existing on like a spectrum, I feel like personally, of similar like traumas. And like when I say a spectrum, it's kind of like a circle, like we're all at different levels because we all have gone, you know, we've all had the same educational system. We've all watched the same programming. And it's arguable, I think, that most families have, a lot of people have experienced child sexual abuse or abandonment from a parent. It's a huge part of this, you know. And I talked about the subconscious programming that starts in those childhood years, those first 7 years. And if you really think about that, I think we forget about that a lot as parents, and even as ourselves as kids. I said it in the last episode, and I reference it a lot because it's important. Like, that shit matters, because whether you believe it or not, that's what has set up the subconscious programming. Because in those first 7 years, we don't know, like as kids, and our kids don't know, like that ego isn't so much there to help you rationalize or break things down. There's no, that intellect hasn't evolved yet. It hasn't developed. You're just sponges, just taking everything and all those coping mechanisms and all that. And so when you've had a less than nurturing childhood, you start to create, that's where those protective layers come from, the coping mechanisms, be they healthy or unhealthy, the pulling back from things, the I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, or whatever it is that has been holding you back in your life. Like, that's where it came from. And the only person that can change that is us, like changing that story. Because here's what happens in a relationship context. So if you had whatever happened to you in your childhood and through your life, that has caused you to put on masks of protection, we have all done it. Every single one of us has done this to protect ourselves. That ego, like, it's going to keep you safe. I say it all the time. The ego is like your biggest cheerleader. It's going to protect you. It's going to do all these things to just kind of keep you in, you know what I mean? It's going to look out for you, whatever you're telling it and feeding it. That's what it's going to reciprocate, you know? And so when you get in a relationship and you put up these protective layers, and everybody has shitty relationships and they fail, and we, because of that story of blaming things outside of ourselves, relationships happen in the sense that, like, so you get in a good relationship, but because your life has been kind of sucky and your relationships have been sucky, and you've developed this story, your story is very much, good things don't happen to me, something is going to happen to, like, there's a catch here, like this really, this guy's really cool, he's smart, he's funny, he's good looking, he communicates well, he's open-minded, he's very loving and attentive, something, this can't be real. And so she pulls back from it, because I'm going to protect myself, because I'm probably going to get hurt, because that's what happens, because guys are players and they're just going to try to fuck me. You know what I mean? Like, so she's just playing as a game right now. And so she withdraws into safety measure. But what if dude is legit? What if he's really into her? But now he sees that she's pulled back and he's like, oh shit, I, am I being too much? I talk a lot. I'm like, I like to talk. Can't help it sometimes. And I like you. And so I'm just like just dump it out. But she's pulling back. So if something is happening, so the guy pulls back. Now they've both pulled back and they both recognize that the other is pulled back. And I see, and they're telling themselves that story is shit. See, they're pulling back. Oh, I knew it. And so just more protection because it's coming. The fall is coming. And it does, because you both kind of self-sabotage and pulled further and further and further back, when that could have been the person of your dreams. Like, that could have been just to build the castles in the fucking sky with, But your inner story wouldn't let it happen. And so we have to believe in ourselves more, Hold on, I'm looking for my remote because I'm getting ready to have an ad come on. The FKJ. I'm a little stoned tonight, guys. I apologize. I should have balanced it out a little bit before I came on, but just telling stories. So it's about stop lying to yourself. Stop listening to the noise and be authentic with yourself. Tell your story. In the second half of this, I'm going to be talking about the creator economy, which is what I'm really excited to talk about. So I apologize. I got a little long-winded in the first half of the show here. But I'm excited to talk about the creator economy because this is what it's really about, and what the show is about, and what I wanted to encourage people to do is create. Put your story out. Be authentic. Change the story of your life. Like, we have to stop living in our fear and insecurity. It is holding us back based on a mindset that is limiting. It's a limiting belief system that is built on a story that our entire society is built on, of blaming things outside of ourselves. And that is what is controlling where our life is at. It is not. It is our choices as individuals that dictate that. But what's hard is, and we're not making authentic choices. I feel like the majority of us in society, we're not living authentically. We're making choices based on our fear and insecurities and this story that we're telling ourselves based on what our life has been. And we just keep replaying this old life story over and over and over again because it's been programmed into our subconscious mind, which is what 90% of our thoughts come from in a day. Is you're just operating, if you're just kind of daydreaming, you're operating in this subconscious mindset. That's what allows you to just drive to work, kind of not remember how you got there because it's programmed. Well, when you have been layering up stories about your life in your head, about the suckiness of it and the shitty relationships, it keeps happening. Like, we have to change the story. Escape that, tell a new story. And you have to be authentic, be open and honest, Don't hold back, Like, don't hold back. Tell your story and rise above the noise of the story around you. And it's not easy. Listen, I talk about this stuff. I'm not a master of these things. You know what I mean? These are all things that I am working on, and I'm sharing them with you because they matter. And it's how we change our life as individuals that ripples out. Because when you can change your story, that is built on generations. Because again, like, at this point, I'm layered up with the programming from my childhood, the programming of the story that I've told myself. But the programming from my childhood is based on my parents' programming, which is based on their parents' programming. And it just goes layers and layers and generations back, that at some point we have to break that story and start telling a new story and let that become the new program. So I've gone long-winded on this. I'm going to take a quick break. and get a drink real quick. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about the creator economy, because that is really, it's really kind of an exciting time for where we're going with the internet and what the capabilities that we have as individuals, just simply with the phones that we have in our pockets. So I hope you guys enjoyed that first part. I apologize, I got long-winded. Again, I've had a super long weekend. Restaurant was crazy. I'm extremely exhausted. And so, yeah, so I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back with the second half of tonight's episode of Above the Noise, about the creator economy and the future of what you can be doing with your phone and what's possible, and what I'm looking to do and my approach to the creator economy, and what I hope to achieve with this show, and encourage you guys to approach and possibly achieve on your own. It's exciting time. So, you guys, I'll be right back for the second half. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the second half of tonight's episode of Above the Noise. If you just made your way through that first half and you're still here, I greatly appreciate it, and I apologize for the kind of uncohesiveness of it. I forgot to mention at the top of the show, tonight's episode is brought to you by Hollywood, straight from my local dispensary. So welcome to the second half of Above the Noise, a podcast where we seek to elevate the conversation above the sound bites and fear tactics and division tactics and the pundits and everything that the system is throwing at us to keep us just completely distracted from ourselves in conversations that honestly, I feel like we should be having as human beings right now on this planet. So the first half of this show was about the power of storytelling. And so I told a pretty powerful story about my last days of drinking and the seizures and just this whole cathartic story. And I shared that story because I'm coming up on 2 years of sobriety from that event and the seizures that were extremely profound and impactful and life-changing. And if you didn't catch the first half, by all means, go back and check it out. So the creator economy, guys, this is exciting. Okay, and so I say all the time, the phones that we have in our pockets have cameras that are more powerful and better quality than the cameras that Hollywood was using 20 years ago. Now, some people might find that disturbing. I personally find it very exciting because it allows things like I'm doing right now. And if you know me and you follow me on social media or anything like that, you know that I'm very much about authenticity, and I am extremely raw and open and vulnerable. And I do that really for myself and to encourage others to do the same. Like the more authentic and raw and open and vulnerable I am with you guys, the more I allow it to become very genuine and authentic in my life. Like that becomes the person I am the more that I do it, if that makes sense. And I really want to encourage other people to do it because, again, I talk about it all the time. It's about changing this story and these mindsets that we have to a new story, and because we live a lot in fear. And so the beauty of where we're at in today's time, it's a scary time because of technology and things like AI and all that. But personally, at the same time, I find it extremely exciting because it has given tools like these super great tools and put in the hands of normal people like you and me, you know what I mean? And it has allowed us a sphere to be the people that we really want to be. like to indulge those passions and the things that we're passionate about. Like we don't have to be trapped in our 9 to 5 jobs. Like you can explore those passions in a very real way because of the sphere that we live in right now with technology and the internet. And so the creator economy, when you start listening to the internet, and I would recommend checking out people if you're interested in the creator economy, and people that I listen to a lot are people like Dan Coe, who talks a lot about the one person business, and a lot about branding yourself. And I talked about it in other episodes, a couple episodes back. It may have been the last episode. It might have been the episode about AI. And I encourage people to do live streams. Like if you're passionate about something, like do it. If you like talking, I tell people like I want you to kind of imagine social media. Like this is streaming live on Facebook and YouTube right now. So if you're watching, like you're just not YouTube so much, but if you're on Facebook, you're just kind of scrolling, I mean, it's like you're wandering this digital landscape of all of these people that are just putting their thoughts out there, the shit they find funny. They're putting out content. You know what I mean? And I decided to do this because there's a lot of discussion on Facebook, especially because a lot of people have their profiles are set as digital creator now, or something along those lines. As people are like, what is that? Like, oh, it's just people that have put a TikTok, out, and they think they're a creator, a digital creator, a content creator. Well, they are. I mean, like they totally are, because they made a video that's content. If you post a meme on social media, you just created content. If you type something in and make a post, you just created content. Like we're all content creators. We're just not getting paid for it, really. You know what I mean? And so I try and encourage people to imagine this digital cityscape. You're wandering the blocks of social media, and you got, if you're wandering around the city, if you're in New York City and you got your street performers, I encourage people to like imagine that's what's going on. And people are just doing their thing. They're either singing, they're dancing, they're miming. They're just on their soapbox like me, proselytizing, philosophizing, humanizing, socializing, cannabinizing, whatever it is they're doing. But nobody's getting paid for it. You know what I mean? And we do it on social media and we're not getting paid for it, And if you are somebody that wants to create content, you have a handful of avenues you can go. And so as a content creator, which I'm really trying to get into, that's why I do this show, it's content creation. You have a couple of avenues to go. So you can go the route of creating as much content as humanly possible and dumping out as much as you can and just getting views upon views upon views upon views upon views, to where you can now get some ad placement and stuff like that and monetize that way. Well, that can feel very daunting. If you're somebody that just wants to you just want to sing, you know what I mean? You love to sing. And so, but you're not really getting paid, you know what I mean? Or, you got the little side gigs and YouTube's a thing. And so okay, well, I'm going to make YouTube videos. And so you're doing your YouTube videos, but you're not really getting a lot of traction, and you're like, damn, and it becomes disheartening. And so you kind of stop doing it because you're not really getting any views. And, in order to make any side money off of your YouTube videos, you got to have 100,000 views or something, hours and minutes. And if you're just getting started, that's really daunting. And you just want to sing for people, So you stop, because now you start beating up on yourself because that story of, I'm just not good enough, nobody's watching my videos, so I'm just not going to do it. So you quit singing, and you just kind of fall back and you forget about it. If you're somebody that, like me, that likes to talk, same kind of thing, but you also, if you're looking to monetize content, you have the avenue of things like Patreon or Kickstarter and things like that, like subscription kind of services. So, basically that works where you create content and you have tier packages and you encourage subscribers and stuff like that. Like we're all super familiar about how Patreon works and Kickstarter and stuff like that. The same thing there. It kind of requires, it can be daunting, and disheartening, and requires you to work really hard. And for me personally, I'm not a multi-platform person. Like I don't, like I have a hard time trying to encourage people to come to another platform, pay me a subscription, like encouraging people to pay me a subscription to, watch my stuff or now have to create special content. I just want to create content and just put it out there. I don't want to tailor it to specific tiers, but if I want to make money doing it, this story would tell you that's what you do. You do that. Your other avenue, if you're a content creator, that they would tell you, if you're researching this stuff, is you create digital download kind of stuff. So you can create courses and things like that and just encourage people that way. And those are all great avenues. But again, if you're just trying to get over the fear of stuff, because everybody has a passion. You have a passion watching this. Everybody has a passion. Are you doing it? Are you living it? Is it a part of your life? I'm passionate about talking. I drive people crazy with it sometimes. I say it all the time. It's part of the reason I do this show, because I like talking so much. And this is a fantastic outlet for me. And I can share things that may or may not click. Some shows may be good. Some talks may be good. Some may be a little stoned down, you know what I mean? And not as good as others. I'm a human being. I'm just getting started at this. And so that's what it is. And so if you're a content creator, I'm thinking to myself, when you're just getting started, that's probably the best time to maybe not have a lot of viewers. So don't, and I say that because don't let it get you down. Like if you are trying to become a content creator and really do something with it, don't let it get you down. Like if you're just building and getting started, some of your stuff's going to suck. Some of your content's going to suck. Don't let it stop you. Be glad that it sucks when there's not a lot of people watching, because it'll just keep getting better and better and better, and go from there. But what I really wanted to get to is this idea that I have. Never mind your Patreons. Never mind your digital downloads, your courses. I have this idea because I want to encourage everybody, as simply as possible, to step into what you're passionate about. I am passionate about talking, so I stepped into this show and I stepped into talking, just dumping it out live. If you're a painter and you just enjoy painting, share it with us, because I can't think of anything, and I say it all the time, better that we can be doing with this platform than encouraging each other to live your best life, overcome those negative limiting belief systems by encouraging each other, acknowledging that, yeah, I'm scared to do this too, and I have insecurities, but look, I'm going to talk about my insecurities. I'm not a great painter, but I really like painting. And so I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm going to go live. I'm just going to paint and kind of talk and listen to music, or don't talk. Just have music in the background, paint a picture, go live, but share it with us. Because the more we share those things about ourselves, the more we break up the algorithms, and the more we can turn Facebook and these social media platforms into what we want them to be. Don't be led and lied to the story that it's just feeding us what it wants us to see. It's feeding based on what you put in. It's input output. That's the way technology and things like that work. Input output. What are we putting into it? Because if you're a part of all the arguing and the noise, well, you're just adding to the noise. You're just adding to it. No wonder I keep seeing it, because you're adding to it. I know you don't like Biden, or you don't like Trump, or you don't like this or that. What do you like? Are you a musician? Are you a writer? Do you have a really good voice and you like to talk? Are you just like this mathematical whiz with a whiteboard? Do it. Show us. Share us. Share yourself with us. And when you do that, and this is what I want to encourage people to do, instead of like pursuing all these views, or trying to like get some brand marketing to where you're now like, between advertising and brand marketing, like you become beholden to those branders and where that money's coming from. That's who you're beholden to, really, And so it's going to dictate what you talk about. But if we're just about supporting each other, and this is what I encourage people to do, and this is what I'm going to do with my show here, is Make it like your blog. Take your space, your platform on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is. It's your block in this digital cityscape that we operated in. Like it or not, it's very much a part of our world. It is not going anywhere. And we have to, social media is a part of our lives now. So take your block and do what you want with it. Turn it into what you want. Live stream it. And then just imagine you're walking around New York City. You're scrolling your digital cityscape. Something catches your eye. I'm sitting here doing this live stream right now above the noise. Welcome to the show. It catches your eye. Maybe you're scrolling. Maybe somebody else has been encouraged by this to be like, you know what? I like Casey's idea about the painting with the background music. I'm not a great painter, but I've seen Casey fucking cry on camera. And so, if Casey can do that, why the hell am I worried about painting a picture and what people are going to think of me? At least I'm not doing that, And so they do it. And that captures your interest. Oh, they're painting a picture. I like this. So what would you do if you were strolling the city and the musician, he's up there playing a saxophone? Captures your interest, and he's got his case open. You throw $1 in. And so that's what I'm going to encourage you guys to do. And that's what I'm doing here. Throw your Cash App up there, throw your PayPal up there, and just do the thing. Just do whatever it is you love. Whether people are watching or not, just do it and just keep doing it and just keep doing it. And you'll get more comfortable and you'll get better at it. And you'll find that it will ripple out that confidence and just that lack of just being immersed in the passion of what you love and putting it out there like you're on your block, you're on your platform, and sharing it with everybody, not caring what they think, not caring if they like what you're talking about, not really caring if they like the picture you're painting or the song that you're singing or whatever. You're doing it because it's what you're passionate about. And we're trying to change the world here, people. That's what we're trying to do. And again, if we want to change the world, we can keep going on and on arguing about the same shit and the same storyline that they've had us arguing about for my entire lifetime, or we can change the storyline ourselves. And we can put out on social media what the fuck we want to put out on it. I'm tired of seeing politics and shit. I want to see you paint a picture. I want to see you sing a song. I want to see you bang on pots and fucking pans or whatever the fuck it is that you like doing. That's what I want to see. And I want it to be the cityscape, I want to be able to just, I like what you're doing. Let me throw you a couple of bucks. Let me buy you a cup of coffee. Because that is the future of the economy, really. Because to wrap this show up and to bring things kind of into focus, maybe for the first time, because this has been a rather uncohesive show, and I apologize for that. It's been a long weekend. I'm very tired and I'm quite baked, and so that's just honest reality, authenticity of the situation. But to bring things into focus, we are in a world where technology and things like AI are moving very rapidly, and it's a very digital age. And people are going to, lose their jobs, and things are going to change rapidly. And so instead of fearing it, I'm trying to encourage people to embrace some of the possibilities. You know what I mean? And embrace what the tools that we have at our disposal right now can do for you in your life and your passions. And apply them. Just do it. Just do it, So, you guys, I am going to wrap this show up tonight. I am very tired and my brain is not operating greatly, and honestly not my best show, but whatever, I will revisit this again, And so, I apologize. You guys, good night, everybody. I need a good night's sleep. I hope you had a great weekend. I'll see you guys in the morning. And I'll see you next week on Above the Noise. Be sure to tune in every Saturday. It's Sunday tonight. I'm aware I'm not that out of it, but I had a very long weekend and I was working last night, so it was unavailable last night. So be sure to tune in next Saturday night at 9:00 live here on Facebook and YouTube. Your choice for Above the Noise. You guys have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and take a deep breath. Tomorrow is Monday morning and the week starts. Love you guys. See you next week.